You've seen a lot of like kidnappings and a lot of coercions to get people's coins with wrench attacks, and that's all a result of this transparent infrastructure and people being able to, once they get one little link of your identity, they're able to track your entire digital life.
I think privacy is going to become even more important as AI is just makes it so much easier to track people.
Like when the agent economy takes shape, do you see any big obstacles that will stand in the way? Hi, welcome to the podcast. Today we are joined by Kieran Dennis. He's the co-founder of Z Protocol, who is now leading the first Satoshi Plus franchise chain designed specifically for the intersection of privacy and the AI agent economy. Kieran, it is great to have you here today. So can we to kick things off, can we talk about what CoreDAO is?
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So CoreDAO is, I joined Core about 4 years ago and was with them for about 4 years. Core is a Bitcoin scaling solution. And more recently, it's become known as the Bitcoin power grid, in that it's powering a bunch of different revenue generating applications, primarily in the Bitcoin space, that ultimately drive value back to Core holders. And so what Core is able to do, particularly with its yield and ledger, is it allows for some of the biggest use cases of Bitcoin today. Primarily, people are most interested in using Bitcoin either to earn yield or to use it as collateral to borrow against it. And so Core is really focused on exploring those use cases and then also exploring how to be infrastructure for additional markets and expanding opportunities there. So on the yield side, it's venturing into Core Alpha, which will be an institutional Bitcoin yield platform. On the collateral side, it's going to be launching or partnering with SatPay, which is a consumer wallet that will allow users to earn yield on their Bitcoin and then borrow against it in a consumer-friendly way. And then the thing that I'm most excited about is what you mentioned in Satoshi Plus franchise networks, which is what Z is the first of. And so what Z is a programmable privacy platform for autonomous apps and anonymous activity. And so Z is effectively the purest expression of the crypto times AI thesis as a new blockchain platform for a bunch of different apps that are targeted toward AI agents. And so the way that intersects with Core is that we've entered into a partnership with my friends at Core in this kind of model where we're going to use their Satoshi Plus consensus mechanism, but apply it to Zcash to allow Zcash miners and Zcash holders to participate in Z's consensus model. And then also leveraging Core's technology as the Bitcoin power grid, they'll be able to support development of Z protocol and participate in some revenue sharing opportunities that'll be beneficial for both Z users and Coretoshis alike.
That sounds really cool. With Zcash and Z protocol, as you I'm sure have been following, Zcash in like late summer, kind of early fall, really took off as a lot of influencers. I don't know, they started like Cabal with Naval, Mur, and a lot of others. So I'm sure you've been following, and just want to how have you seen like the Zcash community become increasingly more mature? It sounds like you're building this protocol specifically to leverage Zcash's privacy. So I was wondering what you think about how the Z protocol make the Zcash protocol more mature.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a fan of Zcash for a long time, and particularly it's become very popular, not just in crypto circles, but like you said, in Silicon Valley with a lot of different venture folks and just kind of cypherpunk idealists, of which I consider myself one of them. It's really responded not only to sort of that Silicon Valley awareness and excitement, but also to technology being built around it. Like you saw Zashi, now Zodal Wallet, that launched and integrated the privacy pools as the default option. And you saw growth in the privacy pool that was unprecedented. And then you also saw, things like near intents come about, and all of a sudden volumes for Zcash were up significantly. It's one of the few crypto projects, I'd say, that are really responding well to technology being built around it. And I think that's because privacy is becoming so undeniably important in crypto, and people are really seeking it out. On the human side, we've seen the terrible consequences of having radical transparency on chain. You've seen a lot of kidnappings and a lot of coercions to get people's coins with, wrench attacks. And that's all a result of this transparent infrastructure and people being able to, once they get, one little link of your identity, they're able to track your entire digital life. That's becoming even more important, and particularly, known in Silicon Valley, as we enter into this AI era. Because firstly, AI just drops the cost of mass surveillance to near zero. It's just so easy nowadays to be able to give your bot an address and say, hey, do a full research report and figure out whose this is and who they've transacted with. And if you do enough activity on chain, your entire life can be linked through that. And privacy is pretty much just out the window at that point. Now
Yeah,
think about,
I
sorry.
spoke to Nansen AI earlier, and they have over 500 million addresses labeled. So, I mean, yeah, just to prove your point, yeah, AI is really de-anonymizing a lot of people and just making it super easy to tell who's doing what and when. So, yeah, I think privacy is going to become even more important as AI is just makes it so much easier to track people.
On-chain privacy platform design, you're designed for both human users and AI agents. How does Z Protocol balance privacy with compliance?
Yeah, good questions. First, on the being built for humans and agents, just like I was talking about how privacy is so important for human beings, it's going to be even more important for agents because they're going to transact and interact with the chain at a scale that humans just aren't capable of. So if they have different strategies, different counterparties, different profiles that they want to keep concealed, they're not going to be able to do that on transparent rails. Privacy is really the first prerequisite for any sort of major agentic adoption of blockchain technology. The reason that I'm building out Z Protocol is because I really want agents to be able to use blockchain rails. Blockchain rails are perfectly tailored for them. We've seen kind of the meme of crypto wasn't built for humans, it was built for the machines. That's half true in that the principles are there, but currently the crypto networks that are currently popular are not at all built for the agentic experience. But the tools are all there. They just need to be put in the right context. In terms of balancing privacy and compliance, it's obviously a very important issue, particularly for any sort of high net worth individuals or institutions. They need to be able to verify, their activities and provide that transparency to whatever counterparties they're interacting with. So there are absolutely kind of opt-in features for compliance where people are able to identify, what parts of their on-chain activity they want to disclose, but that's purely selective disclosure. So it really falls on the user to make those decisions for themselves, just the way that it would work in the traditional banking system or really any other system that's not as crazy radically transparent as crypto has been.
Yeah, I think on the architecture side, it's a point that we probably want to dive deeper in because for agents to transact with each other, they might want to, at least for the transfer of funds, might want to have some know your agent kind of compliance, but also the reputation score. If I'm going to transact with this agent, are they going to give me the service that I'm requesting? How do I know that they're not bluffing with their inference and all this? How do you build that into the Z protocol?
Certainly. So one of the foundational elements of Z Protocol will be making inference an on-chain primitive. So just like you would call any other smart contract, you'd be able to call an inference and basically request that into our shielded pool. And that shielded pool then works with a variety of models, routes you to the correct one, and then that will operate within a TEE, which will allow for you to leverage that inference call and get back the result that you wanted, along with a verification that it used the model that you had demanded. So if you paid for, a top tier model and, request it, all that remains private. How do you know that you're actually getting that top tier model response? The infrastructure, particularly with ZK proofs, allows for the results to verify that activity. And then, like you were talking about with, verifying if your agent is actually doing what you want it to do, you also get an inference receipt through this design, which tells you exactly what the process was that it went through to make sure that that agent is actually doing what it's supposed to do. So it's actually a new way at kind of coming to truth on chain, and kind of the way that smart contracts were originally talked about, like how code is law, and if it's enshrined in code, then it's going to have the outcome that you wanted. Except we haven't seen that be true because there really was lacking this kind of agentic layer or these attestations. Now we're going to be able to do that in this future. And that's really exciting because you can unlock things like potentially down the line, under collateralized lending, if the agent has built up enough of a reputation and can prove its history on chain.
So I guess, with the whole ZK proof, who can challenge it? You say you have the audit logs of what the process was. But if I wanted to audit it, how easy is that, I guess, for the agent and for a user?
So you can audit it using ZK proofs. You can audit it particularly easily if you're the one who made the request, because you have all the information on your side. But you can also just automate using a lot of ZK proofs and stuff. You can identify if the model was used correctly within the TEE and that data wasn't leaked or anything. So the way that it works is you're fully able to privately encrypt all of your data going in, but you can verify that the model was used, or that the TE was using the model that you requested, and also that it was following whatever steps you set as a prerequisite.
And then, how are you building out this network of inference? Because that could be pretty tough. A lot of the kind of hyperscalers are under strain. They're pretty strained with their resources. So is there some incentive to get people to join?
Yeah, so we're exploring a bunch of different models currently, and research is ongoing. There are some really exciting pathways we can see going forward. We're seeing a lot of interesting stuff with projects like Venice AI, what they're able to do with inference. And while that's not fully encrypted or fully private, we'll be able to add on to kind of that model to allow more widespread accessibility to inference. And then on the training side, you've seen a lot of excitement around BitTensor and what they've been able to do in terms of using tokenomics in particular to reward people for training models in a variety of different use cases. And so I absolutely think that those are going to be really critical parts of the long-term Z journey, particularly because we're not just one of those things, but we're all of those things. So agents are not only going to be training in the abstract these different models, they're going to be training on how to use those models on Z, which is going to allow agents to get familiar more and more with using and then eventually building blockchain applications on Z to construct their own agentic economy. So really that's kind of the end game of what you're talking about is okay, we unlock widespread availability to inference to, not just humans who don't have access to it, but also, agents who live on digital rails. And then you allow them to train the models in whatever way they want to. And then eventually that training becomes so good that they're able to build out these applications themselves. And at that point, it's kind of beyond our knowledge of what they might be interested in. It could be, agent to agent lending protocols. It could be any number of different things.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're probably going to fine tune some models first. And then do you think you'll build out like proprietary models, or what's the idea there?
Probably to a certain extent. I think the more exciting thing is having a model marketplace where anyone can put up their own models, post a stake in order to, verify that they're doing all the correct things, and then really just have a competition on Z for whoever's going to have the best models and the best systems and inputs. I think that's going to be the most powerful effect because markets are so powerful. And also, a lot of different people are going to have different ideas on exactly what models they want to train. So like what model we might be interested in is one that gets better and better at building on-chain applications. Someone else might have the desire to build a model that is more tailored to making your agent really good at trading and to avoid slippage and all those kind of factors. So there's such a variety of opportunities for agents to be learning that we don't want to limit it by making it some sort of a permissioned network. We'd much rather have a variety of different model providers stepping up to the plate and sort of competing on that platform.
So what you're talking about, like when the agent economy takes shape, like do you see any big obstacles that will stand in the way?
Certainly. One of the big ones that I talked about was privacy. If we don't have privacy baked in at the protocol level, even if it's bolted on, that's really going to be insufficient for agents to be operating on chain. The other thing is just that the scaffolding of current blockchain networks is not easy for agents to interact with. You can't give agents a wallet today and expect them to be able to do anything useful. And it's much more likely that they're going to hallucinate and use a ton of tokens inefficiently while they're doing that. The analogy kind of is like if you were to just try to give Claude control of your laptop and not Claude Code. You need Claude Code because that provides the scaffolding to turn that chatbot into an actual actor that can control your laptop and do things for you in like a productive, token efficient, and hallucination minimizing way. We really need something for that for blockchain technology. That's what Z is generally going to be targeting, is becoming the scaffolding to allow agents to very easily operate on chain. And that's by having permissions baked in at the protocol level so that the human operator can tell it exactly what it's allowed and not allowed to do. It's also about giving it very clear documentation tailored to its needs, all the different skill files, all the different documentation, and also a safe environment to operate within. One of the things we haven't discussed is the Zico system, which is the vertically integrated application stack that will be on Z. And all that will be built in-house. We'll also have external developers building on the outside, but all the primitives are going to be built so that they're maximally composable and interoperable with each other, so that any agent that wants to go to Z Trade and then take a position against the asset that they trade against on Z Lend, they're able to do that really easily and in a way that they're not going to hallucinate and have to do due diligence on each individual protocol. It's all going to be effectively one meta protocol that is operating for their enjoyment.
So is this kind of like an agent harness?
What do you mean by agent harness specifically?
So like OpenClaw, Hermes, Oh My Code, like something like that, where you just like plug in your keys and it knows how to operate with like within a certain framework?
It more so is that framework. So you're going to be using your Claude Code or any number of different applications and giving it all the different information on Z. And you're going to tell your Claude Code to go to the Z protocol website and to figure out exactly how to do whatever action you want it to take. And it's going to be the most token efficient, smooth path possible because the entire experience was crafted for that agent. So they're not going to go and return you a bunch of slop where you don't actually know where you end up. You don't know where to deposit your tokens. You don't know what applications to use. Your agent is going to be able to do all of those things for you autonomously. You just need to give it whatever permissions you want, and it's going to be able to run your entire on-chain life for you, which is really one of the problems in crypto. Not only has it been scary to use crypto because of the lack of privacy, but it's also just scary to use all the clunky interfaces and all the different systems that you have to do diligence independently and have all these problems with. It'll be much easier when we get to give our agent or a team of agents an outline of what we want to do, and then they do it for us. The only interface that we have is with the command line. That's going to be really a powerful end game. That's going to really accelerate blockchain adoption, because people won't even need to really interact on chain. They'll just need to interact with their agent who they're interacting with every day already.
Yeah, as you mentioned about agent economy, it's actually becoming one of like the most important narrative in crypto right now, especially in the market situation that we're in. People are talking about AI. They're talking about AI agent. What scenarios do you see the strongest for real adoption? Because it seems like there's still pretty high entry for barrier for people entering like the privacy space.
Yeah, I would agree. It's certainly the biggest opportunity that crypto's ever had because these blockchain rails are perfect in theory for their usage. They need permissionless protocols. They need programmable rails to operate on. They need, credibly neutral ledgers. They don't want to be reliant upon human systems, which are inefficient and might not be in their interest. They're not predictable like smart contracts can be. So the tooling that crypto has is really perfect for the agentic era. It's not there yet because inference isn't an on-chain primitive yet. It's not there yet because interacting across a bunch of different protocols is really difficult for agents because the documentation isn't there yet. All the pieces that really are required to take it from 0 to 1 are not there yet. But once you get from 0 to 1, getting from 1 to 100 is going to be incredibly easy because the system is in theory architected so well for it. So once you give agents the requisite tools to think, to act, and to learn, they'll be able to build systems on top of what primitives we can build as humans that will really accelerate on-chain adoption. And that is the point at which I think it gets really interesting in terms of not only agentic commerce, but just agents living on-chain and building businesses there and really routing everything through these permissionless yet programmable protocols.
Yeah. So how far do you think we are from like getting to 1? Because I think with Opus like 4.6, I feel like that was kind of a big moment and it helped really enable OpenClaw. So where do you think we are at with like, I guess, crypto and this AI?
Yeah, the
agent?
blockchain equivalent of the OpenClaw moment.
Yeah.
So it is a high bar also because you need so much trust in things in order to give them actual capital. It's really easy to just spin up an OpenClaw agent and like just tell it to start posting on, a agentic social media site. It's much harder to give it even $100. So you really need to build it in a way that maximizes trust and safety for the user. That is going to take some time, but not too much time. Because of the evolution of this is so effective. The problem, I guess there's a twofold problem because one, you're coming at it from the AI side of like, okay, these models need to get smarter in order to use the Rails. And then on the other side, it's like, okay, actually the Rails need to become just easier for these models to use. Both are true because currently right now, deploying an agent on chain is like giving a toddler a credit card. So there are like two problems there, like the credit card and the toddler. I think that we're pretty close to the toddler growing up, so to speak. And then in terms of the rails that it'll be operating on, that's what we're working so hard on at C Protocol to build is like just making the experience maniacally focused on getting that toddler to grow up on chain.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of what you said. You kind of have this trust ladder where, okay, I'm giving it access, my OpenClaw to my email, then I'll give it access to my Twitter. But with crypto, it's like you're giving it access to your money from day one. Yeah, maybe you start off with like $10 or $100, but that's a lot more friction than like giving it just like research capabilities or something like that. So, and I think it also has to do with like the story because people always come in waves. So like the bull market starts where like, okay, a few people made money and then they're telling all their friends about it. I feel like to get people to use AI agents for crypto, there has to be this story of, hey, my agent is making money. And that's kind of the only way for it to kind of just get this mass adoption. So how does that happen? Especially since it seems like we're in a bear market right now and everyone's kind of losing money.
Yeah, I think from my experience in crypto, building in the bear market is the best time. This is when we're able to really, test our technology, see if it actually is useful, and see if you can get adoption. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And then in terms of what that means for AI, I think it would be really dangerous if we were in a crazy 2021 bull market right now with crypto and AI, because there would just be so much craziness in terms of not only like just token valuations, but just people deploying things that aren't particularly safe and people not actually caring about the scaffolding that needs to be in place for AI to work on chain. And then you could actually just have a total lack of trust as everything collapses because it wasn't ready, rather than having sort of like pure adoption from the ground up. So I agree with you in terms of market timing. This is actually like this is a really big opportunity and a unique moment where we have this technological tectonic shift, and yet it's not priced in yet. And that's happening for a variety of reasons, but including, geopolitical and all sorts of things. But really, like, this is the time to be digging in on both AI and crypto, because that intersection is so powerful and is not yet in the mainstream. But given all the elements that I've talked about, like just having these digital native rails for digital native beings, the TAM is huge. The value capture potential is huge. And really, like, I don't even necessarily think that people will need to make money in sort of a zero sum, like crypto way, like historically, because I think people will just build really interesting things and different consumer applications or financial primitives that hadn't existed before that now exist on chain that are generating revenue that is really a positive sum economy rather than kind of the traditional PvP crypto attitude. So yeah. I think we're going to get like a real building boom in the next year that is really going to be driven by the intersection of AI and crypto.
Yeah, I think it might be more like, because crypto is very PvP, but a lot of these traditional financial tools are coming into the crypto world. So now you could, bet on the S&P 500. Maybe there's financial products that'll offer dividends. And really, it's kind of the PvE kind of mindset where agents could use these tools, but not necessarily to invest in crypto, but to use blockchain rails.
Yeah, and also the guarantees that crypto can provide that are non-financial even. So like we go back to Inference, like I think people are also similar to how people are having the realization that lack of privacy is so dangerous in crypto. People are going to have the realization that lack of privacy with interacting with your agent is so dangerous. And once they realize that and realize that there's actually an opportunity to use really effective models in a private way, and all you have to do is use a protocol like Z, that's a really powerful adoption mechanism that does not involve trading at all. It's purely just paying for inference. And we've seen that model play out in a limited capacity with something like Venice. But really, like, that's just the beginning, because then you have just paying for inference and then paying for inference, and then you want to build on top of that an atomic transaction. Like, there are just so many different building blocks that are being unlocked by this intersection of crypto and AI that it's really not going to need to be PvP anymore in order to get people onto crypto. I don't think that we're going to need to wait for a secular bull market. I think the secular technological trend is really what's going to be leading people back into the market.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know, but yeah, they've like OpenAI, Anthropic, they've already scraped the web. But how do these models keep getting better? It's because users are sending all this new information to their chatbots. They're creating synthetic data by coding up all these apps. And that's how the models are getting better. But I think a lot of people will become like weary about what they tell agents, especially if it's not in some kind of private way.
100%. Yeah. Private inference is going to be a huge market opportunity.
Cool. Well, do you have any closing remarks? What are you excited for besides what you already told us? But yeah, we'd love to learn just one more thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the intersection of crypto and AI, and using privacy as kind of the initial foray into that. It's going to be really fun to it's going to be almost like watching your kids grow up. It's going to be watching these agents get better and better at using crypto rails and the different applications that they're going to be able to build. And by allowing them to think on chain and then act on chain atomically, and then eventually, learn on chain through training, this is going to be how we actually build out the best models without sacrificing privacy and giving wholeheartedly into the surveillance state. Like, this is how you actually drive home those cypherpunk ideals that crypto was founded with, in a way that really embraces the AI era. And I think it's kind of existential for crypto as an industry and for our society as a whole, is whether we're able to solve these specific problems around privacy and the AI era.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.